What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Maverick Man 101. Got a video here today from Men Need to Be Heard, why even more men will be walking away in 2025. Let's get to it.
First, let's talk about some sobering numbers and statistics. Marriage rates have been on a steady decline for decades now, and in the 2020s, we're seeing an acceleration of that trend. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, marriage rates hit a record low in 2020, and they've been dropping precipitously ever since. And 2025, my friends, isn't going to be any different. The Pew Research Center reports that nearly 60% of men under the age of 30 are single, and it's mostly because they're choosing to stay that way. And why are men stepping away? Well, one major reason is the growing realization that traditional relationships and marriage don't offer the same benefits to men that they once did. Many men, in fact, are wondering, are there any benefits at all?
No.
Recently, I asked a group of women to give me just one benefit to marriage for men. They hemmed and hawed for a while, but in the end, the best they could come up with was that there's a tax break for married couples, one that singles don't get. Let that sink in for a moment. Even women were saying that they don't see any real benefits for men when they honestly looked at it.
I think the other thing too is, right, and other content creators will talk about this. You guys watch Coach Greg Adams, he'll talk about this, how like people will always push a man towards marriage, right? Oh, just get married, just do it. Just put your life on the line for this woman. And then if it goes left, right, if it doesn't go the way that you want it to go, these people are typically nowhere to be found, right? They're not there to help you. They're not there to help pay for a divorce lawyer. You know, they're not there with you in court, in family court. These people just evaporate into thin air, essentially. I think just telling men nowadays to just get married is a complete farce. It's a psyops. It's just not reality. Like, to just go into marriage blind. And think about it. She wants that. I guarantee you, women who are about to be married, I bet you they know the laws. I bet you they know the divorce laws in that state. Alimony, child support. I bet you they know. The man, he don't know. He's in a whole nother planet because, you know, now he gets to have a family. He gets to, you know, which is good, right? He feels happy. But just going into it blind without consulting a lawyer, what do you gain? What can you lose? I'd even put a private investigator on her. I'm telling you, you got to know what you're getting into with these women. Part of it for them is having you go into it blind. So when she is ready to pull the plug, you don't even see it coming. Right now, I'm not saying that she's trying to like trick you and set you up, but I do think that they know what they get from a marriage, what they can lose in the particular state that they live in, while most men have no clue what they gain from marriage and what they know what they can lose, but I don't think they understand how bad it could be. I mean, there are books out there for men that kind of guide them through that, in terms of what to do before you get married, if you choose to do so, which I think in the West is a bad deal right now, but people still going to do it.
A group of 4 women who couldn't come up with any good reason for men to get married in 2025, other than you can save a few $100s on your tax bill each year. Of course, when I reminded them that for every dollar they saved on their taxes, you'd likely end up spending hundreds more going through a divorce, well, even they admitted that didn't seem like such a good reason anymore. So let's be honest, relationships and marriage have become a high-risk proposition for men. In fact, I'd argue at this point, a losing one.
Right. 100%.
The reality that men have to consider is that over 55% of all marriages end in a divorce, and roughly 80% of those divorces are initiated by women, according to the research published in Family Relations. And the
Especially if she has a college degree. Just want to put that out there as well. She has a college degree. She's more likely to take yourself to court. She has a degree. She has a master's degree. She's a PhD. Every time I say that PhD, I always think about that Kevin Samuels clip. I'm a PhD. Yeah. If she's highly educated, there's a higher probability of divorce, which is part of the reason why men just don't care about the education or how much money you make. Let's keep going.
reasons women cited, well, most often it's dissatisfaction, boredom, or the belief that they can do better. And for men, this means the risk of losing their home, financial stability, and even access to their children, one that is largely based on a woman's belief, her emotions and beliefs that have been drilled into her by the media, her family and friends, and indeed society as a whole, that her life should be perfect, that it's her husband's job to make her happy because she's incapable of doing so herself, apparently. Well, my friends, that's an impossible task, one no one can do. Yet for men, it leads to them losing everything when they can't meet that expectation. Which is why men, especially the younger ones, are increasingly analyzing the cost-benefit equation of relationships. And to put it bluntly, the math just ain't mathing.
Right.
And when you also factor in the emotional toll, the other financial risks, and the societal pressures to provide, it's no wonder more men are saying, thanks, but no thanks. They've seen how their fathers and grandfathers, their uncles and brothers, their friends and co-workers have gotten absolutely destroyed in divorces for decades now. And now they're saying, nope, not happening. No way am I taking the risk of having that happen to me. And what's women's general response to all of this? To men walking away? Good. We don't need no man. We're strong and independent. Well, is that in fact true? Let's talk about how men walking away impacts women negatively and society as well.
You know, I remember I was having a conversation with one of my buddies, and we were talking about no-fault divorce. And, I mean, he really didn't even know what it was. He didn't know that a woman could just, at the drop of a dime, she's not happy, she's not feeling it, she's depressed, whatever the case may be, whatever's on her mind when she wakes up that morning, the sun is shining too bright, the wind's blowing too cold, whatever. Her parlay didn't hit, I don't know. But that she could just walk in there and be like, I don't want to do this no more. And he really didn't know about it. And I'm like, you know, you got to research these things, man, especially if you want to get married. You got to look at no-fault divorce. You got to look at what states are doing with it, in particular to things like lifetime alimony, states that have started to do away with that. I think California did, But you got to look at these things, man. If you want to be married, you want to be in a relationship, because I guarantee you 101,000% she knows. She knows about no fault divorce, lifetime alimony. She's Googled it. She knows. Meanwhile, you watching ESPN, you don't even care. Whole life on the line.
The fact of the matter is, the dating pool is shrinking, and it's creating a ripple effect. Women themselves are saying they're finding it harder and harder to meet potential partners, especially those that meet their so-called higher standards.
Right.
Standards that have become so unrealistic, so out of this world, that the potential dating pool for the average woman is, well, empty. The average woman these days thinks she deserves that perfect 10 man. The one
Right.
who's 6 feet tall with the six-pack abs and, of course, that six-figure income. The one who's going to cater to her every whim, all while knowing he's not going to get anything in return. It's nothing short of mass hysteria, one that's been promulgated by feminism and women in general.
Right.
And it isn't helping women, it's hurting them. Because having those insane expectations is having a negative effect on women. All women. Social scientists are already noting increased anxiety and loneliness among single women.
Mm-hmm.
Things which could and likely will have long-term mental health implications for women.
Right.
And women in every age group are suffering from and being treated for depression at far higher rates than men. And while they like to put on a brave face and claim otherwise, when you delve into it, the reality is, by and large, women are not finding fulfillment and happiness in ending up alone.
Right.
Quite the opposite. On the other hand, while men would prefer to be in happy, healthy relationships, more and more of them are finding peace and contentment in being single. But in addition to that, there's also the broader societal impact. Declining marriage rates and fewer long-term relationships are contributing to lower birth rates, which can and already are having serious economic consequences. Fewer kids means a smaller workforce in the future, and that affects everything from Social Security to the job market.
Yep.
Countries like Japan and Korea are already facing serious difficulties due to their declining birth rates. And the U.S., as well as many other Western countries, aren't that far behind. The resulting
It's a good point, and I think really quickly, you got to get to these issues before they get too big, right? I think the thing that's interesting about Japan, and I actually said it in another video, is that there was actually research done in the 80s, 70s and 80s in Japan that they were facing some sort of population crisis, and you really started to hear about it now. Obviously, with the advent of social media, things are a little bit more widespread, but you hear it more now, right? In ways that the Japanese government is trying to combat that. And it just may be too late, right? And I think the same thing is happening in China, and the same thing's happening here. It's too late, right? It's just too late. At some point, it becomes too late to reverse the damage that's been done, and I think that's where we are. I don't think the American government, I don't think anything or anybody is going to be able to change this in America in terms of being able to get people to couple together, stay together, have kids, or even just stay in America, period. I just don't see it happening. They're going to have to start like giving away free college credits if you get married on campus. I mean, I just don't see anything happening. I think it's just too far gone.
aging of the population is already having a dramatic effect on economies throughout the world, and it's only going to get worse. And these things aren't going to change anytime soon, yet it needs to if we're to continue to be able to advance our societies. So what's the solution? How do we change it? What are the steps that we need to take to bring men back into the relationship fold? Well, for one, society has to start addressing the legitimate concerns that men have about relationships and in general. That includes things like reforming family court systems to make them fairer. We need to make marriage an actual commitment again, not just something to be casually tossed aside because one party is bored or doesn't want to put in any effort. We also need to encourage open communication about relationship expectations and fostering a culture where men feel valued and supported within them. We need to end the one-sidedness that relationships are now defined with.
Right.
The whole happy wife, happy life paradigm needs to go.
I agree.
Men's wants, men's needs, men's desires need to be taken seriously, not dismissed or outright denied, as is usually the case today. We also need to end the demonization of men and fathers. The The nonstop, never-ending putting down of men done by women and society as a whole that has been going on for decades and which has exploded in the social media era. It isn't doing anyone any good. Yeah, sure, women get a lot of validation, clicks, and likes by trashing men online, especially the men they claim to love. But in the end, it only ends up backfiring on them.
Right.
It drives and is driving not just the men in their life away, but men in general. And contrary to what most women think, attacking men and putting them down isn't ever going to get them to want to be in relationships with women. It never has, and it never will. Yet they not only continue to do it, they seem to be doubling down on it year after year.
Right.
It brings to mind the definition of insanity. And it's absolutely insane to think that the best way to get men to want to be in relationships with women is to demean them and put them down,
Right.
to mock them and make fun of them. Yet, here we are. That said, ultimately,
I think we're going to start to wrap it up there, guys. A couple points. I agree with what he said right at the end. I think it's just one of those things. How do you get men to come back? I don't think you do. I I think there needs to be a big societal shift, right? That needs to happen. And again, I was having this conversation with one of my buddies, and we were talking, and we just don't raise women to be wives, right? Like, marriage is the last option for her. You know what I'm saying? For men, for young boys, men, we raise them up. Hey, man, take care of yourself. You know, get your career, go to school if you need to, for whatever career you want to pursue. Try to get your money up, boss up, do what you got to do. For other people, right? Not for yourself, for other people, for your family, for your kids that you want to have one day. For women, it's the complete opposite. It's go to school, be independent, don't depend on no man, have your fun, go discover yourself, then get married. I think that's the problem there. If we're not looking at marriage as the first option off the rip, you're in a lot of trouble. If she's not going to college to find a husband, if she's not going to work to find a husband, if she's not going to grad school to find a husband, then why should I sit here and be her last ditch option, right? Her Hail Mary play, because she was told and groomed to play around and have her fun. If you want to have your fun, do it. Sophomore year, put it away. Junior year, kick it out the window. Go find a husband. Until it happens like that, until it starts to happen like that, I think we're in a lot of trouble because we are not raising girls to be wives. We're not. They want to be wives when they get married. You should already be a wife, right? Ready to go. And I think that's a big problem of it, along with some of the other stuff that he said in terms of the law. But I think it's a lot in the culture, man. It's the culture, you know. And as long as men continue to marry 304s and, you know, date single moms, why should they change? Why should women do better if men will just settle for whatever they throw at them? Why? Why should they do better? Why should they change? You men aren't going to demand more from them, right? So I don't really see anything changing, man. I really don't.
ultimately, this isn't about pointing fingers. It's about understanding why these trends are happening and what we can do to create a more balanced and equitable society. One that values and appreciates men and all that they do, not demonizes them. Because if we don't, the divide between men and women is only going to grow wider. And that, my friends, is a lose-lose for everyone. So tell me, what do you think?
Yeah, totally agree with him. I mean, I think he has a lot of good points, and I think he actually runs another channel on YouTube So shout out to him for this video. But yeah, guys, I just think more men are going to start walking away. They will continue to walk away. They'll continue to go overseas, or they'll just continue to just be single and enjoy their life. If she's not bringing peace and calmness to your life, she costs way too much. And I think that more men are starting to realize that. You hear these phrases, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. She's costing you your peace. Let it go. Let it go. So I think more men are going to do that and really just focus on themselves, which I'm all for. I think men should have a purpose that is not her, right? He should have a purpose in life that feeds into his family, his kids, and the type of woman that he gets. But making her his purpose, I think is a complete mistake. I really do. And I think men are noticing that. Hell, she don't even want that. You be texting her back all fast and she be like, why you texting back so fast? Anyhow, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. Until the next time, eat well, sleep well, be well. Peace.